Imagine the money it takes to build a movie that can't lose. Spider-Man: Brand New Day is about to hit theaters. Tom Holland's fourth solo outing, the 38th movie in the MCU, reported production budget $225 million. Here's the number nobody's putting next to it. To break even, this movie needs to make somewhere around $450 to $560 million worldwide. That sounds like a mountain. It isn't. Early tracking already has this thing opening north of $200 million domestically in a single weekend. Here's the number that actually explains everything. Tom Holland made $500,000 for the movie that started all this, back in 2017. For this one, he's reportedly making 30 to 40 times that, before backend, before the real money even starts. This isn't a video about whether Spider-Man is going to flop. It's not. Nobody in this industry is losing sleep over that. This is a video about exactly how much money gets made once break-even stops being the question and starts being something this movie might clear before Sunday night. Today, we're doing the math on a guaranteed hit, because the real story was never, will it work? It's, how big does it get and who actually gets paid? Let's start with what's being reported. Spider-Man: Brand New Day carries a production budget most outlets now cite at $225 million. Some earlier estimates had it lower, around $200 to $220 million, in line with 2021's No Way Home. Either way, one of the biggest single investments a studio has made in one film, and unlike most bets this size, this one comes with receipts. Domestic pre-sales are already running around $80 million, ahead of where No Way Home was at the same point before its release. Current expectations have the domestic opening around $195 million, with some trackers saying it could swing as high as $250 million. Worldwide, Deadline's projecting a debut around $465 million, which would make it Sony's second biggest global opening ever, behind only No Way Home's $600.5 million start in 2021. No Way Home, on a smaller budget, went on to make $1.92 billion worldwide. That's the record this franchise has been chasing ever since. And right now, the real question isn't whether Brand New Day gets close. It's whether it beats that record entirely. For scale, even matching No Way Home's total would already be bigger than the entire GDP of some small countries. So where did the $225 million actually go? Weeks of Glasgow city centre rebuilt to look like Manhattan, American police cars, yellow cabs, real explosions, over 60 roads shut down at once, the Jackie Chan stunt team running the action, visual effects for a hero who spends half the runtime swinging through buildings that don't exist. This is what it costs to make something fans this hungry, because that's the part that matters here. The demand isn't a projection, it's already visible. Filming footage from Glasgow was pulling crowds a year before the trailer even dropped. So what does the man in the suit get paid for a movie this close to a sure thing? Back in 2016, when Holland first showed up in Civil War, then led Homecoming in 2017, his reported salary was around $500,000, standard rookie rate for a newcomer anchoring his first franchise. 9 years and 3 solo films later, Holland's estimated fee for Brand New Day sits between $15 and $20 million base. On top of that, a reported back-end of 5 to 8% of first dollar gross, a cut starting from the very first ticket sold, not just after the studio recoups its costs. That detail matters more here than it would on a risky film. Because if Brand New Day does what it's tracking toward, matching or beating No Way Home's $1.92 billion record, that back-end alone could add more to Tom Holland's net worth than his base salary and his entire Homecoming-era paycheck combined. His co-stars are along for a smaller version of the same ride. Zendaya's reported fee sits around $5 to $8 million. Sadie Sink, stepping into a significant new role fans are already speculating about, is estimated at $2 to $4 million. None of them are betting on an underdog. They're all pricing in a hit. $225 million is just what it costs to make the movie. It's not what it costs to make sure everyone shows up. Sony is spending a comparable sum, roughly another $225 million, on global marketing. Trailers, press tours, billboards, brand partnerships, all of it spent before a single ticket sells. Add it up, and the real number behind this release isn't $225 million. It's closer to $450 million. Here's the part that would terrify a studio on a different movie: spending $450 million before you've made a cent back. On this one, it barely registers as risk. Sony and Disney aren't asking, will this work? They're asking how far past break-even it goes. Because on a Spider-Man movie with this cast, this stunt team, and this level of pre-release attention, $450 million in spend is treated less like a gamble and more like a deposit on a return they're already expecting. So let's actually do the math nobody's doing before opening weekend. Studios generally need a film to earn about 2 to 2.5 times its production budget worldwide just to break even, once you factor in marketing, theater splits, where cinemas typically keep 40 to 50% of ticket sales, and distribution. Run that on $225 million, and Brand New Day needs somewhere between $450 and $562 million worldwide to hit zero. Not profit, zero. Now here's the part that should stop you. Deadline's own worldwide opening projection is $465 million. That's already inside the break-even range on opening weekend alone, before word of mouth, before a second weekend, before China, which this film is opening in day and date, a market No Way Home never even reached. That's not a story about survival. That's a story about a risk number turning into a rounding error before the first Monday morning box office report even comes out. So here's where we land. This was never really a story about whether Spider-Man would work. Everyone in the industry already knew the answer to that. $225 million to make it, another $225 million to sell it, $450 million or so to break even, and a real chance this movie clears that number before the weekend is even over. Somewhere in the middle of all of that, one actor who started this franchise for $500,000 now stands to make more from his back end alone on this one movie than most people make across an entire career. Marvel's last few years haven't made every bet look this safe. Several MCU releases in 2025 landed well short of expectations. Spider-Man is the one franchise the studio has never had to worry about the same way, which is exactly why the budget climbed, why the marketing spend is enormous, and why every number in this video was built around an assumption other studios can only dream of, that the audience was already going to show up. The film hasn't come out yet, but the number that actually decides this movie's story isn't the opening weekend gross. It's how fast $600 million stops being a finish line and starts being something this movie blew past before anyone even finished their popcorn. Imagine the money it took to build a Manhattan that doesn't exist, out of a city in Scotland that does. Now imagine how little time it takes for a fan base this loyal to make that number disappear. Because the real story this weekend was never the risk. It was always the size of the win,